And this kind of segues into the next topic, right? Number 2 on the list is reporting and analytics, right? That's important. Not only to see what your users are consuming, right? But how you're using your workloads. Are you using them effectively, right? Getting better insights into Teams. If you're trying to get your company to adopt Teams, right? That reporting and analytics is important, mainly to maximize what you have, right? What your users are entitled to. I know you deal a lot with that within the integration side. So what have you seen reporting analytics actually in practice save these customers some money?
It all comes down to me. Like, everybody wants to be like value driven, right? We want the services that we provide to the business to add value, right? And it's like, okay, well, how are you measuring that value? One of the gotcha, it's not a gotcha question, but it is kind of a gotcha question is, how do you know you were successful last month as an organization? And then just kind of sit and wait for people to tell, oh, well, we hit all our SLAs. Okay, well, that's great. But are those SLAs connected to some type of value-driven component, some type of business objective, some type of
or goal, right?
How do you measure that, right? Besides, we had uptime. That's great. Uptime is great, and that's kind of the blocking and tackling of the answer to the question. But I think truly the answer is, using Teams as an example. Teams can be this great one-stop shop, single pane of glass view for your internal communication and collaboration. But how are you measuring that as a success? Are projects getting done faster? Are products getting deployed faster? Are you doing internal things more efficiently with less error? Are you reducing human error? Things like that. So being able to create dashboards and reports, going back to some of the automation things that we do, a lot of times in HR, we'll create a dashboard that shows, we'll automate all these steps, but oftentimes there are approval processes that Javier needs to go in and approve this salary or approve this person. And what we'll do is we'll show the length of time for each of those steps. So someone can say, boy, Javier, I'll pick on you. It's like, Javier is really slow at approving those salaries.
You can gather those metrics.
Javier, how can we help you? Oh, because they only come at, and then you start having the conversation of how you can optimize those processes, right?
Yeah.
And without that data, without that strategic data from your operational processes, you don't know, and I think that correlates directly to saving yourself time and money.
It does, exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, even if they have the proper reporting tools in place, right? You hit the nail on the head. Is what are you measuring that against, right? Is there like a tangible result that you can say, we want 85% Teams adoption by January 2023, right?
Right.
Yeah, those reports are in there. Let's show you how to use them, right? And then also, what's the process in increasing that adoption if you're not at that point, right? If you're not hitting those milestones, right? How can we help with that adoption? So yeah, that's the other part of reporting and analytics is like the data is great when it's there, but what are you doing with it?
And the one thing I always talk to clients about, my other gotcha question, right, for projects is, how are you going to measure success in 6 months? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? Okay, let's make those measurements, KPIs. And I think people can do that internally to start measuring the success of their outcomes directly as it relates to saving them or getting insight into the data that will help them be more efficient with something. And efficiency is a direct correlation to savings on time and on money.
Mm-hmm. And look, we're specifically talking about usage and adoption right now, right? But the other side of the coin is FinOps, right? With Azure, everybody's moving infrastructure, PaaS to Azure, and the cost is going up, right? Azure's a consumption-based model. So all of a sudden, Chris Bovasso, your SQL admin, has the ability to spin up a server and cost you $10,000 this month, right? So how are you managing that, right? How do you optimize that spend? Yeah, shadow IT, yeah. So that's the other important side of reporting analytics. I mentioned it last because I know we can have a hour conversation about that piece, but
we really could, because the transparency and being able to align those costs to some individual project directly hits your ability to report on the value that you're bringing with those projects.
Right. Yeah. So there's the whole other side of cost optimization and FinOps, which is important to note. Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining. That concludes our session of 5 ways to save, and hopefully we see you for the next one.